Good morning, everybody. I'm Waterways Conservation Officer Chad Lauer, and I was the RSO for the 25th class of Waterways Conservation Officers. I want to welcome you to the 25th class graduation ceremony. Before I get too far ahead, I just want to tell you all that you have an outstanding group, and definitely some trial and tribulations, but outstanding individuals, and I would not just say that. Next, cadets, could I have you please post? Could I have you all please rise for the posting of the colors? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Would all uniformed personnel please render a salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could have you please remain standing and have a moment of silence for our fallen brother in the Pennsylvania State Police, Trooper Rigaud. Thank you. You may be seated.
Class, howdy.
Next, I'd like to welcome for the invocation Senate Secretary and Parliamentarian Michael Gerdes from the Pennsylvania State Senate.
Good morning. It is my honor to be here to offer the opening prayer at today's graduation ceremony. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we gather today to celebrate these dedicated individuals who have been called to serve this great Commonwealth and its people. We ask that you bless the members of this graduating class and that you bestow upon them your wisdom. May they perform their duties with fidelity, confident in the knowledge that they are public servants and protectors of your sons and daughters and the natural resources of your creation. We ask that your Spirit guide these officers in their service, that you watch over them, and that they find fulfillment in their work, preserving the wildlife and waterways of Pennsylvania. We also ask you to bless the families of these graduates who have supported them throughout their training and studies and will continue to support them as they begin their careers. May they be comforted by the knowledge that their loved ones are fulfilling such a vital role. Finally, we thank you for calling these individuals to serve. Through these graduates, the people of this Commonwealth can live in confidence that our beautiful land and all who live in it or visit it have capable hands protecting them. May their selfless sacrifice be a blessing on us all. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Next, I'd like to introduce Colonel Clyde Warner, Bureau of Law Enforcement for the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, to go over the oath of office.
Good morning, everyone. Class, family, friends, distinguished guest. Today I have the distinct pleasure of swearing in the 25th class of Waterways Conservation Officer Cadets. Class, if you would, raise your right hand and recite after me, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth. That I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I will perform all of my duties as a Waterways Conservation Officer according to the laws and regulations governing the same. So help me God.
Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce our Executive Director, Timothy Schaefer, for his address.
So the first thing I'll say is you guys can smile now, so you don't have to look real stern. Feel free to smile. They said at ease. I'm not sure what all at ease included, but it can definitely include a smile. You can say that. So first of all, thank you to the families, friends, and loved ones who are here, and thank you for sharing your loved ones with us. It's a big commitment. You all know what they've gone through in the last year, but thank you for sharing them. Thank you to everybody who had a role in training our officers from the very beginning with the selection process right up through to today to putting this nice event together. Thank you for the role that you played. And thank you to the officers behind me. I feel like you should be standing around looking at them. But thank you for choosing us. I say to my kids all the time, make good decisions. Just make good decisions. And it was a choice. It was a decision for them to apply, to work with us, for us and with us. It was a decision for us to choose them to join us, and it was a decision for them to stay and stick it out. So thank you for making those what we think are really significant and monumental decisions. And those decisions will face our officers every day that they're in the field. And, you need to show up, right? I mean, you need to show up for your job and be ready to engage with people. And I want to let the officers know behind me that you never know who you're going to interact with. And if you guys talk to Ty Moon, he can probably tell you the story. So Ty graduated last summer from the class right in this rotunda. 2 weeks later, I'm fishing with a friend of mine a couple friends up in north central Pennsylvania on a small lake. And one guy says, Tim, I think one of your officers just drove by. I'm like, we don't really usually see an officer out there. The district had been vacant. And down comes Ty Moon walking down to the lake. I'm in a life jacket, a pair of flip-flops, and a baseball cap and sunglasses. I was wearing my life jacket, but he was more surprised to see me than I was to see him. But he had shown up, and the way that he interacted with me was wonderful that day. A couple months later, Richard Lewis, who's one of our commissioners, lives in Adams County, he was out ice fishing, and Carl Mays shows up on ice patrol, and next thing you know, asks Richard Lewis, one of our commissioners, to see his fishing license. I mean, who would have thought, right? I mean, you bump into me, you bump into a commissioner, you guys never know who you're going to interact with. So, always be on your best behavior, that I know you will, but you just don't know what the next interaction is going to bring. I think I'd really like to focus my remarks, though, on this building. And Bob, who's our policy and planning director, we're here all the time. It's a pleasure to be in this building. I mean, it's just awe-inspiring. And I want you to enjoy it and appreciate it, but it's appropriate to be in this building for a couple reasons. In his Gettysburg Address, Lincoln said that it's altogether and fitting that they were there at the battlefield to dedicate the cemetery. And I'm not trying to equate this with the establishment of the National Cemetery there, but it is altogether fitting and proper to be in this building. Just behind the folks there's the beautiful frescoes in the floor. There's a snapping turtle. There's pieces of wildlife peppered throughout this building. If you go towards the front door, if you didn't see, there's a little stone where Teddy Roosevelt stood back in 1906 on a day like this. Supposedly it was rainy, and I've read that they disembarked from their wagons at 10:30 a.m. Well, just about 10:30 a.m., so it's pretty cool to think it was about the same time. But when Roosevelt was here, he said it was the most handsome building he had ever seen. And it's handsome for a number of reasons, but conservation is at the core of this building. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean? It's a state capitol. If you go right down that hallway, and I stop there all the time when I'm here, on the left and right side of that hallway are plaques that aren't to legislators. They're to champions for the natural resources. Joseph Kalpfus, our friend Jason Dukoski here from the Game Commission, his title above the plaque right there in the marble is Pioneer Wildlife Protector. Who would think that would be in the rotunda of the building? But that features so prominently in our history. On the other side is the father of Pennsylvania forestry, is Joseph Rothrock. Right here in the center of the Capitol, when this was built and then renovated, conservation had its place right here in the middle, where thousands of people walk by, every day and every year. But Roosevelt, I think it's fitting that he was here because he did more for conservation than probably any president, and is still known for that. And again, he dedicated the building. But at the end of his address, and he said this to everyone, he was really addressing it to the whole country, but he asked people to have a sense of honorable obligation. And that, when I read that, almost gave me chills, this sense of honorable obligation. I think that's what we all have that have chosen this profession. Our officers who are here now that made that choice, again, made that decision to join us. Our friends at the Game Commission and other agencies, the state police, who we work with and respect so much, they made that conscious decision to take that, honorable obligation. So to the families, just please know that we take that honorable obligation to care for your loved ones seriously. We will do everything we can to make sure that they're equipped and kept safe in their positions. To the officers behind me and to the officers who are here now, the commissioners who are up front, Colonel Warner and I, we take that sense of obligation to all of you incredibly seriously, and it motivates, at least I know it motivates me every day. And then finally to the officers, take that sense of honorable obligation out to your jobs. I mean, you are the ones that are there, as you heard at the beginning with the convocation. And I guess I should apologize. This is a working building, so if you hear people going by, this is a really rattly and rumbly floor, so we'll bear with it. But that obligation for the officers, I mean, it's a really noble profession that you've chosen. You have that obligation for the resources that you're there to conserve. You have the obligation for the people that you interact with. It's the anglers and boaters for sure, but it's all citizens of the Commonwealth and all visitors to our waterways. So thank you for choosing us. Thank you for deciding to be with us. Thank you for accepting that honorable obligation to be a Waterways Conservation Officer. Congratulations and welcome to the team.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to again welcome or introduce Colonel Clyde Warner to address the class.
So good morning once again. Before I start, I would like to take a moment to thank some of the people that make this possible. These classes there's so many moving parts behind the scenes and so many people that are responsible for what you see here today. Of course, the Executive Director, Tim Schaefer, and the Board of Commissioners, so supportive of our Bureau. When I came into this position, we were a lot of officers down, a lot of vacant districts, and their commitment to get us back to full complement is outstanding, and I thank you for that. We're not there yet, but we're as close as we've been in a lot of years. So I appreciate the support from both the Executive Director and the Commissioners. The Bureau Directors, the Deputy Directors, my Lieutenant Colonels, Tom Edwards, off on my left, Jeff Sabo, off on my right, they work with me day in and day out to get what we need to make this happen. So I appreciate all the hard work from both of you. All the captains and sergeants, not just what's here today, but across the state, the WCOs, the Deputy Waterways Conservation Officers, the field training officers, the instructors. There's just so many people that make this happen. The clerical staff in both Harrisburg and the region offices, I refer to them as the heartbeat of our Bureau. They truly do keep us moving forward and appreciate all their hard work. In particular, my administrative officer, Denise McCann, she works so hard and is responsible for a lot of what you see here today. So I thank her for all her work. Certainly want to mention, Chad Lauer, who has been up here several times, served as our resident student officer. About early on in this training class, we lost our training director to retirement, and we relied on Chad very heavily. And he has just done an outstanding job with that, and very, very proud, and thank you for that, Chad. You did a great job. We dumped a lot on you, and you certainly rose to the top, and I appreciate that. The family and friends of the officers, the cadets that are here today, it takes a really good support system to keep things moving. I'm sure it was as hard on all of you as it was on them at times, so thank you for the support. There's so many other agency staff that were involved. I can't mention them all, but thank anyone that had anything to do with the class. Some others I would like to acknowledge. We have a member of the Boating Advisory Board, Rocco Ally, who is here today. Rocco is always very supportive, and we thank you for being here. The Executive Director from the Pennsylvania Game Commission, Brian Burhans. Brian, we certainly appreciate everything that the Game Commission does for us, and appreciate you attending today. Also, the Colonel from the Pennsylvania Game Commission, Jason Dukoski. Jason, thank you. I know we have some representatives from other agencies here that will help present credentials in a little bit. Representative from the Virginia State Police as well as the City of Erie. We thank you both for being here as well today. State Police Colonel Chris Parris was scheduled to be here today, but unfortunately will not be able to make it due to the tragic incident that took place over the weekend in which 2 state troopers were shot. Our thoughts and prayers will be with the state police and their families during this very difficult time. Each of our classes possess unique qualities, and this one was no different. From day one, the cadets were told the training program would be very challenging, both physically and mentally. A year ago, they reported to begin their training, and what you see standing behind me today are the 13 cadets that have made it to the end. We initially started with 24. This is a testament to their hard work and dedication, and I applaud them for that. Although they are relatively small in number, I believe the 13 cadets behind me will be some of the finest Pennsylvania Waterways Conservation officers to ever wear the uniform. As they have shown time and time again, the resilience, the fortitude, and the critical thinking it takes to be a top-tier Waterways Conservation officer. I've been working for the Fish and Boat Commission for over 30 years in a host of different capacities, starting with the agency as a deputy back in 1991. And to this day, at least most days, I still catch myself smiling and thinking, I can't believe I get paid to do this for a living. This truly is the greatest job in the world. As you start your careers with the Fish and Boat Commission, never forget to take the time to enjoy the ride, smell the roses, if you will, because time surely does fly by. Never lose sight of why you wanted to be a Waterways Conservation officer, and never forget where you came from. Remember, you are the face of the agency. Every day you come on shift, I ask that you always do 3 things. Do your job fairly, act professional, and go home safe to your families. Know that you are part of the Fish and Boat Commission family, as well as the thin green line. So with that, once again, congratulations, class. I wish you all the very best in your careers. Hopefully 30 years from now, you too will catch yourself smiling and thinking, I can't believe I get paid to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Commissioner Robert B.J. Small, President for the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, to present to you all.
Congratulations. And once again, thank you, families, for getting our new officers this far and for your continued support. And as I look at you, I see the faces of the Fish and Boat Commission future. And as Waterways conservation officers, it's your face as you go about the business of putting resource first that boaters and anglers see. You are the first and in a lot of cases only contact, and that's an awesome responsibility. It really is, and I can say that as commissioners, we're confident in your ability, and we know that you're ready, and we send you all the best wishes. Commissioner Bill Gibney of Wayne County says our best improvements often come from the frontline workers like WCOs, and you can serve as a conduit for anglers and boaters to express ideas and concerns to the board. Commissioner Don Anderson of Somerset. Build relationships with people in your districts, especially schools. Many young people will look up to you and hopefully may want to have a career in conservation work or be a volunteer because of the interaction that they've had with you. Commissioner Bill Brock from Elk County wishes you well and the best of luck. Commissioner Charlie Charlesworth from Lackawanna County, we support you and are proud of you to serve our licensees and to protect our fisheries. Commissioner Eric Hussar from Union County sends his hearty congratulations. Commissioner Rick Kaufman from Berks County says feedback to us as commissioners is welcome, and it is. And we have an open door to you at any time. We are all in this together. Commissioner Richard Lewis from Adams County says try hard to provide helpful, cordial, friendly service to all Pennsylvania anglers and boaters. Commissioner John Mon of Washington County says, congratulations, you have chosen a noble profession. Rely on your training, apply the law equally, and I'm proud of you all. Commissioner Dan Pastore of Erie County says, thank you for your commitment to protect the precious public resources under our jurisdiction. I live in Cumberland County, and I urge you to do your duty with pride, with poise, and with professionalism. And don't forget to smile as you go about this. You are among Pennsylvania's finest. But most of all, always remember that we have your backs. And best of luck.
Thank you. Before I introduce the next person, I just want to say the first word that comes to mind for me for this individual is humility. And he's probably one of the most humble, genuine people I've ever met in my life. And I had him on field training, and he was good people. And I just want to commend Noah Grice, and I want to introduce him on behalf of the 25th class to come down and to speak on behalf of the class. But outstanding person, humble, very genuine, and is going to do an outstanding job on behalf of the Fish and Boat Commission. I'm proud to introduce him. Thank you.
Good morning, family, friends, and distinguished guests. A lot of wise people have spoken to our class at one time or another of this past year. They've shared some great advice. The most common thing I can recall hearing them say is, don't blink, because this job, the memories it will bring are special, and something you'll look back on and be amazed at how fast the time flew by. Now, I did not understand what they meant by that at first, but today I'm starting to get what those wise people said. Today, the 25th WCO class of my fellow brothers and sisters are graduating. Our group of 13 fine Americans have shown that we have what it takes to become Waterways conservation officers. This feat has not been easy. and has brought trials and tribulations a great measure. It has impacted not just us, but our loved ones. We have gone to sleep more days away from home than at home this past year. We have driven miles away from our loved ones, leaving them alone to deal with life's problems. Being separated is a tough thing for a family, and our families have been like a rock. Without them, this last year train would have been much harder to navigate. I want to thank them for their support throughout this year and what they have given us. With that being said, what we went through had a purpose. Those long days and nights of training, testing, and practicing have molded us into great future WCOs. I can remember the first meeting we had as a class back in June of 2022. We walked in wearing business clothes and sat around an oval table in the Fish and Boat Commission headquarters building. I remember thinking, when are they going to yell at us? Soon, everyone that was hired for the 25th WCO class trickled in and sat around that table. The awkwardness in that room as we sat in silence is something I look back on now and laugh about, especially now forming lifelong friendships with those same people. It's truly been an honor to see everyone grow and develop into great officers, and this day is a mountaintop I urge all of you to sit back on and reflect. Reflect on this accomplishment and the amount of effort and time it has taken to achieve, because what lies ahead is unknown to us. We will be tasked with some hard decisions and tough calls along the way. There will be times that we'll be called upon to help someone on their worst day ever. May have even just lost their loved one, and will be the first ones they talk to after that traumatic event. This is why we must remember to handle every encounter we have with the public with the utmost care, compassion, and respect, because that is the kind of thing that can stick with someone. I know it did for me. Now, I don't mean to sound so serious. Over this past year, we've had a lot of fun too. We have gotten to do things while being paid that most would book months in advance to have the opportunity to experience. We have driven police cars straight out of a wall of cones. The only thing preventing a hilarious crash is the instructor yelling, "Left!" or "Right!" at the last second so we could complete an evasive maneuver. We have gotten to operate inflatable boats on the Susquehanna River in the freezing March waters, doing 180-degree turns and weaving through obstacles with chattering teeth and a smile on our faces. And some of us, I'm not going to say any names, have even conquered their fear of snakes and actively tracked, tagged, and handled wild timber rattlesnakes in a middle-of-nowhere boulder field in the woods. Now, how cool is that? The days we had out together and the stories we gathered from our training have brought many laughs to the dinner table at Stackhouse. It has made all the hard times worth it. All the early morning wake-ups for PT run for miles on end, and late-night Title 30 readings in a classroom after a day of training. It's all worth it. The time we spend sharpening our skills and bettering our minds will pay off. Having gained this knowledge will definitely help us in the field. See, the academy, it's a bittersweet relationship. Nobody likes it while they're going through the middle of one. They say the days are long and the weeks are fast. Although I'm sure for most of us, it all just felt long. But at the end, the sense of accomplishment and joy it brings will be something we'll remember forever. In closing, the 25th WCO class would like to thank our Board of Commissioners and the Executive Director, Tim Schaefer, for providing us the opportunity to participate in this training class. We'd like to thank our command staff for making sure we were taken care of and given everything we needed throughout the academy. Last but not least, we'd like to thank the agency staff and instructors, our instructors at Mansfield University, and staff for cooperating agencies that provided instruction to us. We look forward to working with every one of you for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to begin with the presentations of diplomas and credentials. Right. All right. First, Sarah R. Bartle, assigned to Franklin, Eastern Fulton County. Presenting her credentials will be Michelle Canary, Carney, Virginia State Trooper. Brendan Bourne, assigned to Bedford, Western Fulton County. Zachary Christie, assigned to the Southwest Regional Office. Caleb Kramer, assigned to Northern Wayne County. Presenting his credentials, retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Tim Kramer. Gavin Daniker, assigned to Delaware County. Presenting his credentials is Michael Daniker, retired police chief, Spring Township Police Department. Noah Grice, Eastern Crawford, Warren County. Abigail Luteri, assigned to Southwest Montgomery, Western Philadelphia County. Christian McNamara, assigned to Lackawanna, Wayne, Susquehanna counties. Michael Noon III, assigned to Clarion, Butler, and Armstrong counties. Logan Schuler, assigned to Eastern Erie County. On behalf of him, Michael Schuler, State Corrections Officer Sergeant, U.S. Coast Guard, retired, will be presenting his credentials. Jacob Schwartzmiller, assigned to Western Erie. Presenting his credentials will be Stephen Harris, Erie police officer, United States Army veteran. Seth Strasser, Perry, Juniata County. Luke Walter, assigned to Butler County. Next, we'll be presenting the Ed Manhart Academic Award. If I could please have Seth Strasser come to the front, receive your award. Next award, Brooke Tolbert Award for proficiency with firearms, Christian McNamara. Okay, that concludes our ceremony. Thank you all. Oh, it doesn't? Excuse me. Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I have an award that we're going to present to Chad, serving, as I indicated earlier, as our RSO, or resident staff officer. He has done such a great job for us, so we want to recognize him today. A lot of time, a lot of hard work. Certainly appreciate that. So, Chad? Outstanding. So that does conclude the ceremony. One thing I just want to pass on, we will be going into the House and the Senate, I believe. Just the Senate side for photos with the cadets. Unfortunately, we can't take family members in with. So if you would all just hang out here, we're going to go do that, and they'll be back, and then they can do photo ops here. We do have a lunch, a catered lunch that will be served downstairs. Denise, what time? 12-ish? 11:30, 12 o'clock. Just behind us here, there's a set of steps that goes downstairs to the cafeteria. Certainly all invited to attend that as well. So thank you all for coming, and appreciate you being here. It's been a long year, I'm sure. I keep telling them they'll look back and think it wasn't that bad, but every time they have to go back to the training school, they're going to get flashbacks. So 30 years, I'm still getting them. It's just the way it works. So thank you all for coming.